Hello. Welcome. This is an episode of the ASMR podcast. And again, I'm in a different sort of setup. This is more reminiscent of how I used to do my rambles earlier this year. And so it's a little bit closer up, within reach. I can just touch you. So let me know if you like this format or setup, or if you prefer that kind of traditional podcast setup where I am seated further from the camera. But I may just continue mixing it up sometimes and not worrying too much about making it the same every time. But just going with the flow. Anyways, let's jump in to our topic today. So, I'm not sure what you are expecting, but what I'm going to mainly be talking about today is sexual transmutation. So taking one type of energy, sexual in this case, and transmuting it, directing it, and using it for a particular outcome. So I think it will be a very interesting topic. And if you are anything like me, you might enjoy this. Or at least find it interesting to think about. So, I am celibate at the moment. The reason for that is not because I think having sex is bad. It's obviously, maybe not obviously, but in my opinion, it's a beautiful thing when done in the right conditions. And for me, the right conditions would be if it is a meaningful and authentic connection with somebody who has compatible energy with me and somebody who is on a similar wavelength as me. I believe that sex is an energy exchange, and you don't want to do that with just anyone, especially not another person who is going through severe mental health issues, addiction, just overall bad, low vibes. Not that there's anything wrong with that person or that they're less valuable. We all go through those times in our life. But if you are somebody who has put a lot of time and effort into cultivating your own life and improving, you absolutely do not want to exchange energy in that way with somebody who is at rock bottom and kind of, just, it's gonna bring a lot of heaviness into your field. So, that's why you can't, or I choose not to, just hook up with any person anymore. I mean, I never did, but I used to be with people based off of attraction alone, and I didn't get to know them well enough to understand that maybe they are somebody I should not be exchanging energy with. And even if I did know them that well, I didn't even care or think about that aspect of it. And so now, I haven't met anyone recently that I would be desiring that sort of connection with. If I did, then of course I would, allow that to happen naturally, but it's not something that I am seeking out. But I don't know, a lot of people find it contradictory because I have an OF, and so I've mentioned that I'm celibate in other videos, and I've had people say, celibate, but having an OF is crazy, or something to that effect. And I think it's because they are a little confused about sexuality and its role. And in my opinion, you can be celibate without completely shutting off all sexual behavior completely. And I don't know. I watched a very interesting video today by Malika, My Guardian Angel. That's the name of her channel. And it was a very interesting video about sexual transmutation. I watched that this morning before I did my workout, and I really got a lot out of it. I'll link the video in the description in case you want to see what I'm talking about. But she was reading from the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which is a really famous book, and there's a chapter in it all about sexual energy and how to utilize it properly. There are some things in that book and in the way that the guy was speaking that I did not like. It's a very old book, I think from the 1920s or 1930s. So it's all based off of men and about and for men. So the way that they speak about women is a little bit, they don't see women as people, they see them as an accessory to a person, the person being the man. But, you can still read the book as a woman and just translate it into, every time they use the word man, just switch it for person, and ignore the sexist parts, but there's still some really useful information in there. And so it was talking about how sexual energy is creative energy, and how that desire, that natural desire, is the biggest motivator for people. People will go to extreme lengths to satisfy that urge, and it will move them to action. And yeah, it's not really something you have to force. At least for me, that kind of burning desire is always alive within me. And so the issue is when you misuse that energy. And I think that can happen when you are just following the urge and trying to use it all for romance only. And I think men and women are socialized a little differently. Women are socialized to channel that energy into looking for a romantic relationship, and men are socialized to channeling that energy into looking for a meaningless hookup, and vice versa can also happen. But the issue is that when you feel that burning desire of sexual energy rising, and you follow what you've been socialized, conditioned to do, as a woman, you might be obsessed with finding a partner or love or the perfect person that's going to satisfy you and make everything okay. And for a man, you might feel, because you've been conditioned to, when you feel that burning desire, you might feel like you need to go find someone to biologically mate with, and as many people as possible, in order to feel worthy and accomplished and valued, complete. And so if you follow that social conditioning, you can keep doing that for a long time, just searching and searching for that fulfillment. But that's a misuse, and that energy is just going away. You're just giving it away to other people, and you're not going to magically end up where you want to end up unless you use intention. And so when you set your intention, which would be finding out what you desire aside from sexuality, but like if you want to start a business or make art or whatever creative pursuit appeals to you, if you can become aware of that, know what that is first, because if you don't know what you want, that's step one. Figure out what you even want. And then what you can do is, when you have that sexual energy burning, you can use that as a fuel. And then instead of going and trying to get a boyfriend or girlfriend or have meaningless sex, instead you can work on your project And all of that energy that's built up is being funneled into it. And, if you do find somebody that you connect with on that level and you want to have that energy exchange, that can also be extremely helpful to your journey. Because if you're with somebody who has that good, strong life force energy, when you have that energy exchange, you will feel better after. You'll feel more calm and more alive and more invigorated. Whereas if you do that energy exchange with somebody who is low vibration, depressed, addicted to substances, you're gonna feel drained afterwards because they're taking your life force, not on purpose. It's subconscious. But so that was something that I realized when I was watching that video, was that all of the sexual energy that I have, that people have kind of tried to shame me for growing up, and even now it happens often. People try to make me feel bad about my natural drive. I realized that it's a gift. It's kind of the best gift ever. And I think most of us have it, But what's that saying? Like, with great power comes great responsibility, which means it's only a gift if you know how to use it properly in a way that benefits you. And so I was also thinking, because in the past I've kind of gotten to a point where I felt like having a crush on somebody, being attracted to somebody, was bad, because I felt like it was taking my focus away from my vision. But it was also weird, because I kind of felt like when I had somebody in my life who I liked in that way, I felt like all areas of my life improved, and I felt this more excitement for life. Even if things were not going well with the person, I still had this feeling that was kind of making me more excited about my projects and everything. And watching that video today made me realize that, I wrote this down, it's in my notes right here, the muse is not the issue. It's the misuse of the direction of the stirred up desire. Which, that's really straightforward. But yeah, having a crush on somebody, intensely being attracted to somebody, is not a problem. That's a great thing. But the problem happens when I will be interested in somebody. I have all this energy and I just focus it all at them, and I think about, how do I get this to progress? How do I hang out with them? How do I make them like me? How do I do this or that? Whereas the correct way to use that gift of stirred up desire is to look at the muse, appreciate the way that they are making me feel and stirring up my desire, and then I take that huge ball of energy and I turn my gaze directly at my vision, and I pour all of that energy into creating my vision, which obviously it's my vision, so it's something that will benefit me directly. And whatever happens with the muse doesn't matter, we might interact we might have an energy exchange, or we might become lovers, we might, crash and burn. I might not know them anymore, but that doesn't matter. That's just the fuel. And having an interaction with another person is never the goal. Connections are extremely valuable. Humans, each individual is very valuable, but the goal is not to have a relationship, have a hookup, or any one of those things. Those are fine to have as a goal if you want, of course, but it shouldn't be the main objective in life. At least for me, that's how I feel. Like, I have personal goals that have nothing to do with, feeling this ownership over another human. But yeah, it was really exciting to think about that this morning and just appreciate the gift of sexual energy and stop feeling resistant to attraction and stop thinking that having attraction towards a person is bad or a distraction, and instead realizing that it can actually be a huge booster to my creative endeavors. And I don't know, I find it freeing, and I know that it's going to be a game changer for me to just have this little mindset shift and really be able to turn that thing that I think in a lot of ways I felt shame for, because even in high school a lot of people would gossip about me and say really mean things related to my sexual energy, and so it kind of trains you to see it as a negative thing, but it's really not. It's kind of the best gift there is if you use it wisely. And that's what I'm doing now. And I'm learning to trust myself and my discretion more. I mean, not discretion, discernment. Learning to trust my discernment more. And for me, that journey started when I stopped drinking, because when I used to drink, I would do things that I would not have done sober. And that was a betrayal to myself, because the next day I would realize, like, oh, I did it again. I acted crazy and embarrassing, and I said something I shouldn't have, or I hung out with someone that I shouldn't have. And it makes you feel so out of control. So you really can't guide your own life properly when you might betray yourself at any second whenever you decide to have a little fun, you know? So, yeah. I don't know if I'm explaining this in the way that I imagined, or if you understand what I mean, but yeah, I think it's really great. And right now, because I am celibate, and by celibate I mean I don't have a partner, but I still indulge in sexual activity. But I'm now trying something new, which is during the act, which you can do this with a partner too. You, at the moment of climax, you imagine your goal. You imagine something or some action in your head that would imply that you had accomplished your goal. And so while you're doing that activity, you release this burst of energy, and you are visualizing the end result of achieving whatever goal or desire you have. And so that burst of energy goes out at it, and I don't know, it's very empowering and cool. So I like it, and I think I have a better relationship with sexuality now, even though a lot of this just happened today. But already I feel so much lighter and excited, and yeah, just free. Because it can feel complicated, you know, when you don't fit into the predetermined categories that society tends to set of, like, you know, promiscuous, or what you might imagine if someone says they're celibate. You might think that they are uptight and religious and judgmental, and maybe they think sex is bad. So it's sometimes can be weird to be somebody who believes sexuality is beautiful and powerful and, you know, engages with it a lot, but then also not promiscuous in the way of, like, actually physically interacting. So it's kind of, you know, different than what you might see in, like, you know, the mainstream. But that's also not true, because I do see a lot of people nowadays that are, you know, expanding their mind. And even, like, the video I watched today, you know, there are a lot of people who understand this and are using it to their benefit. And So even though still there are people who are socially conditioned to fear sexuality, and they repress it and use it in the most negative way possible and feel guilty about it, those people shame people that enjoy sexuality, because I think on some level they feel like it's not fair that they have to suffer and the other person or other people are just out there living it up. From their perspective, it's hedonistic and vapid. But, you never really know somebody's beliefs until you ask them and give them a chance to tell you. But I guess you wouldn't do that if you actually don't care. You just want to validate your own suffering by attacking people and perpetuating the same thing that hurt you, which is shaming people for their divinely given gift. So, I don't know. I'm trying to think if there was anything else. I'm looking at my notes. So I have noticed that some people think that women's sexuality is for men. It's not. Your sexual desire is a gift to you. So my desire is a gift to me. I told my friend this when we were talking on the phone a couple months ago. I said, if men didn't exist anymore, women would still masturbate. And I think the point of that is to say that women engaging in sexual behaviors is not always a show for men. And I think that's why a lot of men get, not a lot, but some guys and women get pissed off when women are behaving in a way that benefits them, like with OnlyFans. I think that it offends them that women are behaving sexually in a way that benefits themselves instead of just marrying a man and giving all of that sexual energy to him. And so I think that's a big part of why you'll see people being rude to OnlyFans girls a lot more than OnlyFans guys, because it irritates them for some reason to see women benefit from their own God-given gift of sexuality. And, again, I don't think it's their fault that they think that. They know not what they do. People get socially conditioned and they start thinking that up is down and down is up. And, it's easy to follow someone else's rules and someone else's morals and never seek out your own truth. Because in order to do that, you have to go through a lot of terror, and you have to repeatedly let go of everything you thought you knew. And, if you're not ready, you're not ready. And that is totally understandable. But I think it's nice to be kind to others and not, I mean, you're gonna judge, but like, do it quietly. Or do it in your own space. And even as I say that, I know that, that's what I wish, but I have no control over others, and so I have to give up that wish that they were different, And I'm trying to let go. So, let me check my notes. Oh yeah, another thing is you can do this too. As a human, you probably have sexual desire, and so maybe if you want, you can try this, which is next time you're all hot and bothered and maybe you see someone that looks really good and you start feeling those things getting stirred up. First of all, don't feel guilty. That's not a bad thing at all. That's a really positive, beautiful thing. If you are feeling that, it means that you're alive, and it's a very vibrant, strong energy. So don't mix shame in with it. And then, when you feel all those feelings of desire, take your focus, your attention, and put it on something that you want to accomplish. Like whatever it is. Maybe you're writing a book, or you're starting a YouTube channel, or you are making sales, or painting, singing a song. So take all of those strong, vibrant, exciting feelings and work on something you care about that will ultimately lead to you feeling fulfilled. And just see what happens. See if you like it or not. And anybody can do it. This is not just for men. It's not just for women. You don't have to be abstinent or celibate or sexually active. You can do it in whatever way makes sense to you. And yeah, try it out. I'm trying it out. And so far so good. And honestly, I can't think of a single downside to this. It literally is like an open door, a permission slip to relax into that natural flow of energy and feel it from the top of my head down to the tips of my fingers and my little toes, and just feeling so vibrantly alive without shame. That's life force energy. So I am extremely grateful to have received this gift from the universe. I have done my best to share it with you too, what I have learned so far. I'm going to upload this video probably in like a little over a week. So by the time you are seeing this, who knows what I will have accomplished with this new tool I have in my tool belt. My sexy tool belt. I'm excited. I'm very excited. So, I love you, and I'm happy that you exist, and I trust you. I trust in you that you will do what you came here to do. You will be who you came here to be. And I'm working on not judging you. I mean you as in like other people. Because I think that when I observe somebody, or somebody comments something or DMs me something rude, I judge them and I wish that they didn't exist. Like, I wish a person like that didn't exist. But that's wrong, because everybody has their place and every perspective exists for a reason. So even if it's a perspective that I abhor and do not prefer, it still is allowed to exist. Just like if I walk by a tree and I think it's ugly, first of all, I would never think that. That's rude. But that's the point, right? I would just think, I'm not gonna be mad, it just exists. You know? If I don't prefer to look at it, I walk away. And the same thing goes for people. If I don't prefer to hear what they're saying, I click off the video or I walk away. I don't sit there listening and hating them, because that shows that I don't trust in the divine. Anyways, I'm not gonna get into that right now, but yeah, this is what I like to think about, so I'm sharing it with you. But I believe in you. I believe that you are capable of whatever it is that you desire. Seek and you will find. Don't seek and you might not find, but you might find anyways.